Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise, find those key insights. So have you ever had one of those days? You sit down ready to focus, maybe tackle emails or a project, and like 5 minutes later, you're somehow watching cat videos. Or you grab your phone for just a second, and poof, an hour's gone. It's this weird, very modern kind of mental fog, isn't it? If that sounds familiar, well, you're definitely in the right place today. We're doing a deep exploration of a book that tackles this head-on. Dopamine Detox, A Path to Digital Clarity. For this one's interesting. Often credited to folks like Thibaut Maurice or Dr. Cameron Sipa. It's in that self-help, psychology, productivity space. And it's short, like really short, maybe 80 to 120 pages. You could probably read it in, an hour or two?
Yeah, definitely. And our mission today isn't just, a book report. We really want to pull out the most valuable nuggets, the core insights from it. Think of it as a shortcut for you, so you can really understand what this dopamine detox thing is, how the book says it works, where you might use it, and importantly, what its limits are. And we'll stick to what's in the source, no getting lost in heavy science that isn't there, just the practical takeaway.
Okay, I'm genuinely excited about this. This idea of digital clarity. It sounds like something we could all use. And how a simple concept, maybe, offers a way to get better focus in this crazy, hyper-connected world we live in. It feels like it might tackle a problem so many of us feel every single day. All right, let's dive in then. The whole book is built on this idea of dopamine. So maybe start at the beginning. What exactly is dopamine, according to the book, and how does it explain its role in our daily lives?
Right. So the book explains dopamine pretty simply. It's a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in your brain. And it's crucial, like absolutely vital for motivation, feeling pleasure, and our whole reward system. But here's the key thing the book stresses. It's not saying dopamine itself is bad. Not at all. The focus is really on the overexposure we get, especially from all these artificial instant gratification sources everywhere now. You know the ones. The book points fingers at things like endlessly scrolling social media, binge watching shows for hours, reaching for junk food, getting lost in video games, even just the constant buzz of notifications and texts. These things deliver really quick, strong dopamine hits.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how normal all that stuff is. It's just part of the background noise. But okay, if we're constantly getting these big dopamine spikes, what does the book say happens in our brains? Does it just get used to it? Or is something deeper going on, something that actually changes how we feel about, normal stuff?
That's exactly the core problem the book tackles. It talks about brain desensitization. Basically, if you keep hitting your brain with these super high dopamine activities,
Right.
it starts to adapt and needs more and more stimulation just to feel the same level of pleasure or reward. The baseline shifts. And the consequence. This is the real kicker for a lot of people. Normal, healthy activities, things like reading a book, studying, doing focused work, even just a quiet conversation, they start to feel, boring, difficult, unappealing. It's not that the tasks themselves changed. It's that your brain's reward circuit is kind of burnt out from the constant fireworks. It can't appreciate the slow burn anymore.
Wow, desensitization. That sounds pretty concerning when you put it like that. Sneaky almost. So if our brains are getting rewired like this, what are the warning signs? What does the book say are the red flags that someone might be in this dopamine overload state?
Yeah, the book lists some really specific signs, and honestly, they're super relatable for many. Things like checking your phone constantly, almost compulsively, even when you know there's nothing new. Having real difficulty focusing on one thing for any length of time. Feeling bored really easily by just normal life stuff. Procrastinating a lot, especially on important tasks or goals, and just a general feeling of low motivation, particularly for things that require effort now for a reward later. You probably recognize some of that, right?
Yeah, maybe more than I'd like to admit. It definitely sounds like a modern condition. So, okay, that's the problem. This desensitized brain, always chasing the next big hit. What's the fix the book proposes? This detox, What actually is it?
So the dopamine detox, as the book defines it, is basically intentionally stepping away from those high dopamine activities for a set amount of time. Usually it suggests starting small, maybe just 24 hours. Some people might do a few days. The whole idea is to give your brain a break, a chance to sort of reset itself, to dial down that constant artificial stimulation so it can become more sensitive again to, natural rewards, simple things. Now, the book is apparently quite clear on this, and it's important. This is framed as a behavioral detox. It's based on observation, personal experience, maybe some general logic. It's not presented as a rigorous scientific or medical intervention backed by big clinical trials. It's about changing your actions, your habits, not really about, say, altering brain chemistry directly through medical means.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. Behavioral, not medical. Got it.
Yeah.
Now, the book gets praised for being super practical, like you can actually do what it says.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that? What's the step-by-step plan it lays out for someone wanting to try this detox?
Yeah, it really does try to make it straightforward. Step one is basically self-awareness. Identify your personal big dopamine triggers. Is it YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, gaming? What's your go-to distraction? You got to know what you're dealing with. Second, you set a specific detox period. Like we said, starting small, maybe 24 hours is often recommended. Make it achievable. Third, and this is probably the hardest part for most time, you actively replace those high stimulus habits with low stimulus activities. So instead of scrolling, maybe you read a physical book or you do some journaling, go for a quiet walk, maybe meditate, things that don't give that instant jolt. And then fourth, the book really encourages reflection. Think about how you felt during the detox afterwards. Track your focus. See if you notice a difference yourself.
Okay, that sounds doable. Identify, set time, replace, reflect. Makes sense, but it can't just be about the 24 hours or whatever, right? You do the detox, feel great, then dive right back in. That seems pointless. What does the book suggest for after the detox, for actually keeping that clarity going long term?
Ah, yes. Crucial point. The detox is really just the beginning, like clearing the slate. Maintenance is key. The book talks about building new routines, basically guardrails for your attention. Things like using social media intentionally, maybe scheduling specific short blocks of time for it instead of dipping in constantly, being ruthless about turning off non-essential notifications. Those pings are designed to pull you away. Setting clear boundaries, like no phone hours, maybe an hour before bed or during meals, to create focused time. And generally, consciously shifting your energy towards deep work, concentrating on meaningful long-term goals rather than just chasing the next quick dopamine hit. These are all, disciplines to protect your focus so your brain doesn't just slide back into that desensitized state.
Right, building habits to protect that reset makes total sense. Now, the book's simplicity comes up a lot as a major plus. Easy to grasp, easy to start. But thinking about other self-help stuff we've looked at, does that simplicity sometimes mean it's, well, a bit too simple? Does it risk glossing over the complexities?
That's a really fair question. And yeah, dopamine detox absolutely prioritizes easy and actionable over deep, complex theory. And for its intended audience, that's probably its biggest strength. It avoids jargon. It's incredibly straightforward. Anyone can pick it up and feel like they know what to do next. It gives you a clear plan, uses examples you instantly recognize from your own life. And because it's so short, it doesn't feel overwhelming. If you're busy and feeling foggy, a quick, direct guide is appealing, right? It gets straight to the point.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that. Quick, actionable advice. But okay, flip side.
Yeah.
No resource is perfect. What are the criticisms? What weaknesses do people point out? You mentioned it's kind of surface level on the psychology. How big a deal is that? Does it undermine the core message for people who want more depth?
Well, some readers do find it a bit repetitive. Like the core idea gets reiterated maybe more than necessary across chapters. And yes, the psychology is surface level. It explains the concept, but it doesn't dive deep into the neuroscience, the specific brain pathways, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for a detailed scientific breakdown of dopamine's role in addiction or motivation, this isn't the book for you. And related to that, it does lean more on anecdotal evidence, personal experience, and general reasoning rather than citing lots of large-scale studies for every claim. But again, is that a fatal flaw? I'd argue maybe not. For what it is, it's a practical handbook for behavior change. Its goal seems to be inspiring you to try something, not to give you a PhD-level understanding of neurotransmitters. It's a starting point.
Okay, so manage expectations. It's a practical starting guide, not a scientific treatise. So putting it all together, the simplicity, the practicality, the limitations. Who is this book really for? Who's the ideal reader that would get the most value here?
The book really seems to hit home for a few key groups, definitely students, anyone struggling to focus on studying when their phone is right there, content creators, freelancers, people whose work is digital and maybe feel burnt out by being always on. Also, anyone who feels genuinely, addicted, whether it's to their phone, specific apps, social media, gaming, and honestly, just broadly, anyone who feels like they've lost some control over their focus, who wants a bit more mental peace, maybe more self-discipline in how they spend their time. It's kind of amazing how this one simple behavioral idea resonates with so many different modern struggles around attention, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, so we've taken a pretty thorough deep dive into dopamine detox, a path to digital clarity. And the picture that emerges is, a practical, very beginner-friendly book, tackles that real modern issue. digital distraction, mental fog.
Absolutely. The consensus seems to be it's a valuable first step. Often gets good ratings, like a 4 out of 5 kind of thing. Its real power seems to be in that simplicity and how immediately useful it feels, especially if you are feeling overwhelmed and unfocused right now. It gives you something concrete to try.
A tangible way to start reclaiming your attention. I like that. So to leave you with something to think about, based on everything we've discussed about dopamine, about how easily our brains can get kind of numb to normal rewards.
Yeah.
What's maybe just one high stimulus thing you do regularly that you could perhaps reduce or replace, even just for today, to start feeling a little more present, a little more focused, something to mull over? Thanks for joining us for another Deep Dive.